Hello, friends. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to let you know that we have a new merch collection out. Woo! We haven't come out with merch in a couple of months, so we have a really cute spring collection. All of the shows have new designs, which I'm very excited about. We've got t-shirts, we've got hats, we've got totes, we've got tumblers, we've got tank tops, we've got baby tees, we've got cropped tank tops, we've got it all. So there's definitely something for everyone. Over at milehighermerch.com. Also, just a reminder that 100% of the proceeds from any merch, from any show, goes directly to the Arapahoe Foundation to help support victims of violent crimes, as well as other nonprofits who are in the same scope of work. So get yourself some cute merch for the springtime and also, help out a great cause as well. So, yeah, happy shopping.
Hey, what is up, everybody, and welcome back to Mile Higher. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm joined by not my wife, because this recording is a pre-recording, and my wife is on maternity leave when you're listening or watching this. So I am joined by Ian.
Hello. I'm work wife today.
Work wife today,
Mm-hmm.
and my other work wife, Janelle, is here as well.
Rumors going, baby.
Let's go.
What's up? My companion here, Ian, has ditched me.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. But you got Maggie all comfy.
Oh, Maggie's here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dogs in here today. I don't think my dogs have been on the show in a while, but in my lap here is Sadie. She's my sweet little Havanese, and then my other Havanese is laying down on the ground over here. He's a little too big to fit on the lap. Bernie, and then we've got Alice and Maggie here as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
the runs.
Yep.
Gang's
The
all
full
here.
crew. Full crew is here. But today we're going to be talking about the Bible.
Yes, sir.
That's probably the last thing you'd think you'd hear out of my mouth. But, as somebody who's read the Bible, I've read it a few times over the course of my life, completely through, although I don't remember a lot of it at this point because it's been probably, 15 years since I've read it all the way through. Have you guys read the Bible?
No. I've read like little bits. I remember Genesis because I would go to my friend's like weird mega church summer camp situation. And then I'd be sitting in the pew. I like going because they'd give you Rolos. And then I'd eat my Rolos and I'd be like, all right, let's crack this thing open. I was like, wow.
What kind of stories you got going on?
Yeah, what the
here?
fuck is going? But I think I only ever made it like one page, if that.
One verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
That's
Close
exactly,
Bible.
dude. I think I'm good. I got that.
Janelle, what's your Bible knowledge look like?
Josh, my Bible knowledge is slim to none. Honestly, most of the things I've learned, which is basically nothing, come from you. Because if I'm always curious, I'm like, Josh, what's going on with this? And then you try and explain it to me. But I'm not going to lie, I retain very little information about the Bible. I've never read a page from it ever. And yeah.
Well, today you're going to learn a little bit, but about a book of the Bible that was omitted by Western Protestant churches, actually. So this is not a book that I've ever read, but it's a book that once I heard about it, I was like, ooh, this sounds right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some wild shit going on.
A lot of wild shit. I mean, we've got giants. We've got angels descending from the heavens. And we've got a mysterious figure at the center of all of it.
And why did they get rid of it if it's such an interesting and intriguing part?
It's because there's different ideas behind it, but a lot of people, the main thing is that the authorship of this book, the Book of Enoch, is questionable for many. Like, many don't understand where it came from. But I'm like, isn't that a lot of the books of the Bible?
Right. That's what I'm
especially
like,
Old Testament.
Right.
Old Testament, New Testament, people would say that the New Testament's written by the prophets, right? The prophets of Jesus, the apostles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, etc. And then also there's the red letters in the New Testament, which is actually supposed to be quotes from Jesus. So this is direct language that was spoken by Jesus himself. But the Old Testament's really interesting to me because the Old Testament talks about the very beginning of everything.
Right.
And specifically with the Book of Enoch, what is really interesting is that it talks about the period before this cataclysmic event that happened, which is the flood of Noah, as is told in the Bible. Although there's a lot of other theories around that as well. But this event took place, 12,000 years ago. And so a lot of people believe there is this sort of lost chapter of human civilization, of human history. And so the Book of Enoch is interesting because it gives us a sort of a recollection of events that occurred and the people that were living here, along with the other beings that were here prior to this cataclysmic event. And, when the earth was completely flooded. So that's what's really interesting to me is what could it potentially be our origin story?
It could be. I also think, like, specifically with Enoch, the fact that he's somewhat of a mysterious character, but still central to the three Abrahamic religions. In Judaism, or at least in mystical Judaism, he becomes the second highest angel in Metatron. In Christianity, he's quoted in the Bible, in the New Testament. And then in Islam, he's the prophet Idris. So it's like here's this mysterious figure at the center of all three of the big ones, and yet we don't really have any extra information on him except for the Book of Enoch.
Right. And it kind of draws parallels to another figure that we've talked about specifically with the Emerald Tablets. If you watch the episode, Hermes Trismegistus.
Exactly.
Right. He is Thoth of Egypt, he's the Thoth of Egypt, and he shows up in other places as well. And I think one of the other reasons why sort of modern Protestant denominations don't want to talk about it is because it's very esoteric. It's very sort of magical, and it implies a lot of things that may question the official timeline as it's told by the Protestant Bible. And that's what's really interesting just about religious texts in general is, like, depending on the denomination you're looking at, there's parts of it that are there in some and parts that are not in others, as we'll talk about with, like, the Catholic Bible and the canonical books and things like that. So it's a very interesting story, the Book of Enoch. And a lot of people have also, ancient alien theorists, a lot of people also point to these, as they're called, watchers, are potentially extraterrestrial in origin, that they're potentially from another, planet, another part of the universe, and this is our descendants. And then the Nephilim, the giants, are pretty sweet.
Just awesome. Just fucking cool.
Which you guys have heard of, like, David and Goliath, right?
Of course.
And Goliath was, according to the Bible, a giant. And so was he a descendant of the Nephilim? It's very possible. And so there's also, this is a little fun fact about the Nephilim too, that is a lot of people think that Bigfoot could potentially be some type, he's a hybrid being, and perhaps he's like half Nephilim.
Right.
And he's been here for thousands and thousands of years, living in the earth, rather than, sort of this transdimensional being, which is kind of interesting. So
I like that. Do you guys want to get going on a Bigfoot conversation again real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the potential biology of the fact that, like, this is a species of unknown origin, but also, these books, these early writings try to justify them in some ways. Like this, we don't understand what Bigfoot, Nephilim, any of these things are, but through these early writings, they're trying to give them a kind of origin story.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I think it's, if there is any evidence, so to speak, that maybe this is it. Maybe this is where we can sort of point to the origins to a lot of things. Also, the origins of demons stems from the Book of Enoch and the Nephilim, and all the events that occurred there. So we're gonna break it down really simple. This is a very, like, high level overview of the Book of Enoch, what it contains, some of the stories, so that you're not, if you're not a Bible scholar, you're not going to get lost. It's very easy to digest. So let's go ahead and get into things here. So let's talk about, again, the Bible for a moment. The Catholic Bible specifically, it contains 73 books, 46 in the Old Testament and 27 in the New Testament. The Protestant Church, however, only includes 66. So there's a difference there. And that was because, the Catholic Church was there originally. But then when Martin Luther, he split off from the Catholic Church and essentially founded the Protestant Church, what would become modern day Protestantism, is, they left out a lot of those books because they wanted to take it a different direction. And that's just kind of the way that religion has worked since the beginning of time. But then there's the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible. With its origins in the Old Testament's original circulation contains 81 to 88 books. So they held on to almost all of them.
Basically every single one of these apocryphal texts. They're still in the Ethiopian church.
Which is interesting because the rumors around the Ark of the Covenant is that it perhaps is
it's in
held in Ethiopia, which is interesting. But among these extra texts are mainly different versions of established books, including the Book of Maccabees, which is a retelling of Genesis, and several New Testament texts. However, the most mysterious and controversial of these texts might be the Book of Enoch. Once considered part of the Old Testament and quoted twice in the Catholic Bible, the Book of Enoch offers a curious insight into Noah's great-grandfather, which, yes, we're talking about the Noah who built Noah's, the ark, and his apocalyptic vision from God. Although it was once a favorite of many church fathers and pre-Christian Jews, the book was abandoned and lost after the creation of the Catholic Church and the codification of the Rabbinic Judaism in the 6th century. And to the Western world, Enoch remained a curious figure within the Old Testament, and the book documenting his vision was lost to time. However, after the West rediscovered the text in the 1700s via the writings of the Ethiopian Church, many have asked why exactly it was removed from the canonical Bible. Was it due to the authorship, as we mentioned, not knowing who wrote it, heretical thoughts of angels, and just changing the conventional sort of way that we look at angelic beings and sort of the story behind what an angel is in general? But was it actually holding back a story of potentially the beings who created us, or potentially ancient aliens who were here interacting with humankind before the apocalyptic flood of Noah? So today we're going to walk through the general synopsis of the Book of Enoch, some of the more wild theories out there that have been written about it, and end with how Bible historians and those who have studied the text understand it with the broader text of early Abrahamic religions. So first off, let's understand just how central Enoch really is to the Old Testament lineage. So who is this guy? He is the 7th generation removed from Adam. Talking about Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden.
This is old as fuck then.
Genesis. Talking about the very beginning of all humankind. Father of Methuselah and great-grandfather of Noah. He is mentioned 2 times in the Catholic Bible and is described as living a total of 365 years. That's always been something that just blew my mind when reading the Bible, is just how long people were living for.
Dude, these motherfuckers were alive. I think it was like Noah, was it something like 500 years or something?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how long these dudes live.
Don't quote me, but I think the oldest person that ever lived in biblical times was like 800 years old.
Which is like, nuts.
What? Am I right?
969 years old.
Fuck. Oh, it was Methuselah.
Yeah, Methuselah.
Yeah, but then you think about it, like, J.R.R. Tolkien, when he's writing the Lord of the Rings, he's looking to this stuff. And Aragorn, right, when I don't know how long he lived, but I think he was in his hundreds when Strider became Aragorn during the Lord of the Rings, right?
Yep.
So it's like these myths of people living forever or whatever.
And the elves too, right?
Right, they literally forever.
Immortal, this idea. So, and that's like, it's hard to wrap your head around that these days, because it's like the average lifespan of somebody now is like 75 years old or something.
Right. 27 Club.
Yeah, it's like we are just here for such a short blip of time, but back in biblical times, they were living for centuries.
For real.
Which is kind of cool, honestly. But Enoch, he walked faithfully with God, and then he was no more because God took him away. So this Enoch is an important figure in Christianity, and the New Testament quotes him twice even, but it does not include any of his writings. So just what was Enoch up to for 365 years while he was on the earth? That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of fucking time, bro.
Like, what are you doing? What are you passing your time with? And what's going on? Like, what are you going to witness in 300? Imagine us living for 300 years from now.
Probably.
How different things would be. Like, by the time you're old, you're hitting retirement.
Right.
It's a different world that exists.
Even just like our grandparents, right, in their 80s, 70s,
Yeah.
and 80s, they've seen like 3 different worlds in the time they've been alive. 365 years. Jesus. Sorry.
No pun intended. Jesus. Yeah, it's hard to really wrap your mind around. But the Book of Enoch, commonly referred to as Enoch 1, is divided into multiple books. The Book of Watchers describes 200 angels sent to oversee humankind. And it talks about how they betrayed their mission and their failure in the eyes of the Old Testament God. The Book of Parables concerns divine judgment, the fate of the righteous and the unrighteous in the coming apocalypse, and the role of a future Messiah. The astronomical book contains descriptions of the movement of heavenly bodies and the knowledge imparted to Enoch on his journey to heaven with the archangel Uriel. The Book of Dream Visions presents a vision of the region's history, and the final book, the Epistle of Enoch, contains information on Methuselah and the birth of Noah. So there's a ton of information in this Book of Enoch. It does, I think, to a lot of people, especially like modern day Christians, it just seems like a fantasy.
Like, these are the Christian fantasy books. These are the dragons and the crazy shit happening.
The precursor to Lord of the Rings, as you say.
Exactly.
One of my favorite apps, and one that I use almost every single morning, is the Rocket Money app. You've heard us talk about it before. And if you haven't, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings, and so much more. Rocket Money allows you to put all of your accounts together in one beautiful dashboard so you can truly get a handle on your finances. Especially with everything going up in the world, it's time to micromanage those finances, but don't spend all the time you have to manually going through bank statements, manually going through all your accounts to track your expenses and budget. Do it through the Rocket Money app. It is extremely easy to get everything synced up. Once you do, it'll go through, find all those subscriptions for you, which will always be a nice surprise or a bad surprise, because I guarantee you have a subscription or two you didn't even know you were paying for still, and they can even help you cancel those with a few taps. Not only that, they can do credit monitoring. They can do net worth tracking. They really make a very customizable app that truly encompasses all things when it comes to your personal financials. I love it for that reason. It's nice to pop on there in the morning and see what bills are coming up, what payments are coming out of my account. It'll also notify you if like your utility bill goes up in cost, which is really nice. You can go investigate that. It could even negotiate lower rates on eligible utility bills. And it does all this for you with very little human interaction with it. It's just super easy, super nice. And they also have a free version, which is great to really get started getting a handle on things. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/milehigher. That's rocketmoney.com/milehigher. Do it today at rocketmoney.com/milehigher. But while all the books are fascinating and flesh out some of the unwritten parts of the classic biblical canon, most of the controversy and theories come from the Book of the Watchers. In Enoch, it's explained that the Watchers, they descended to earth in the days of Jared, who is Enoch's father. Initially, they were there to guide humanity towards righteousness. However, the Watchers, who are described as angelic beings or just beings of light, quickly began lusting after human women. It's kind of interesting. But they conspired to have children with them and took human wives. In the text, it's described like this: "And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sin. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness." So these, depending on which way you look at it, these angelic beings or these aliens perhaps have come and they took up human wives and therefore have created a hybrid species.
The crazy giant Nephilim. And I know we're not getting into the alien stuff yet, but it just occurred to me. I remember when we were doing the Linda Napolitano and we were talking about the Greys, the reason they're so interested in human women is because they don't have love of their own. They can't find love of their own. So I think it's interesting that if you want to look at it from that perspective, why they would choose human women, these supposedly angelic beings. It's like, don't you guys have all the women you want up in heaven? There's a reason you guys want the human wives.
Right.
Now, this intermixing and breeding with the Watchers created a new race, the Nephilim, giants with a violent disposition. They are described as destructive individuals who had no regard for life. If you just look at this drawing, too, you see they're chained up, they're fucking...
Yeah.
But then you see just how huge they are compared to regular humans in the corner there.
Truly giants.
Truly
like
giants.
Jack and the Beanstalk giants.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. This isn't just like a big guy.
No. This is much bigger than even like how they describe Goliath, which is why Goliath was maybe just a descendant, right?
Right. At this point, the Watchers had fully rebelled against God and the kingdom of heaven and began teaching the early humans, again, we're only 6 generations removed from Adam here, so these are very early humans, forbidden skills. Azazel, one of the Watchers, taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures. Which is cool that among the forbidden knowledge is makeup.
Right? Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Swords and makeup.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's awesome.
That's all you need.
My favorite shit. Semjaza, the leader of the Watchers, taught humans how to create enchantments and cut roots. Amaros taught them how to undo and resolve enchantments. Barakijal taught astrology, and Kokabel informed them on constellations. Ezekiel shared knowledge of the clouds and the movements of the winds, while Arakiel instructed on the signs of the earth, Shamsiel on the signs of the sun, and Sariel on the movement of the moon. Again, this is like very fantasy. It reminds me of the, again in Lord of the Rings, what is the name of like Gandalf, the order of the wizards?
The Maiar.
The Maiar. It's very similar to that. Also, they're supposedly angels too in that.
Yeah, they're basically angelic beings.
Right.
Like their own deities.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to me that this, again, fantasy style, but
Yeah.
reminds me very similar. Like they all have different realms of which they're kind of watching over. And same here. Like some of them are teaching them on constellations, makeup, weapons of war, everything.
Well, it also explains where astrology comes from.
Right.
And it's interesting that astrology is not widely accepted by modern religions.
At all.
They all do not, obviously there's some people out there that still partake in astrology, but here it is.
Boom.
It's in the Book of Enoch.
That's what the fuck they're talking about. So to many of us looking at these teachings now, it seems relatively benevolent, and we can see how they relate to modern understandings of the earth and the universe. However, to God, and again the Old Testament God, this was seen as heresy, and the angels rebelled against heaven by teaching humans the secrets of the universe. So God sent one of his archangels, Uriel, to earth to retrieve one of the most righteous men to heed his warning to the Watchers and the Nephilim. Uriel retrieved Enoch, whose trip to heaven we'll explain in greater detail in a moment. While there, God delivered an apocalyptic vision to Enoch. He told him that the Watchers and the Nephilim were to receive a severe punishment for teaching humanity the secrets of the universe. The Nephilim were to be murdered, deprived of food, turning on one another, and devouring each other's flesh and drinking one another's blood. The remaining Nephilim were to be destroyed in the Great Flood. Then the fallen angels, the Watchers, were bound and cast into Tartarus, a part of the underworld, and also one of the first biblical mentions of hell.
Yeah, really interesting.
Which is pretty sick. But like you were saying in the beginning, like we're talking about the origin of so many things, potentially the origin of demons right there.
Right.
These fallen angels bound to the underworld.
Yep. Trapped here.
Trapped. Yeah, for real.
Trapped here and, remaining on the earth as well. And so that's why we have demons.
Right.
There you go.
They walk among us.
Yep.
The leaders of the Watchers, like Azazel, were cast into a desert opening of rough and jagged rocks. His face, Azazel's, was covered, and he was forced to remain there on the rocks until the day of judgment, when he would be cast into the fire of damnation, which is just awesome. And while, of course, this has many implications for the Great Flood and the role of Enoch's great-grandson, Noah, it's this section of the book that has made many wonder who those Watchers truly were, as the stories seem to mirror many of the theories put forward that an advanced race of people showed early civilizations secret knowledge, the Anunnaki, or simply ancient aliens.
Yeah, let's go. The Anunnaki, which long time ago on this show, we did a whole episode on the Anunnaki. We talked a little bit about the Book of Enoch and a little bit about the Nephilim, but this is where ancient astronaut theories say, yes, this is what's going on, really. Ancient aliens.
Right. They came down. They taught us.
Came from the heavens. Where's heaven? It's somewhere in the universe.
It's up.
Yep, it's up, exactly. But in the Book of Enoch, heaven is described as a physical place in the sky rather than another plane of existence, as in most Abrahamic religions. In the Book of Enoch, it almost seems like a city in the sky, or one could interpret it as a massive life-supporting spacecraft that's just hovering up there. And when Enoch himself is taken to heaven by the angel Uriel, it definitely sounds a little bit like a classic alien abduction. Is he beamed up? Does he get flown up there? What's going on? First, when Uriel came down to Enoch's village, he created a noise that made the earth vibrate before a sphere of light descended to the ground. Kind of sounds like a UFO beam.
It sounds like technology.
Yeah, exactly. And unlike other biblical apparitions in which only one person witnessed the event, Uriel's appearance to Enoch was seen and felt by his entire village. And when Uriel brought Enoch to heaven, it sounds a lot like Elijah's own journey to heaven in a chariot of fire, which may have pointed to as a biblical abduction story already within the canonical Bible. So that is in the Bible that most of us have read. Once he arrived in heaven, the big guy himself instructed Enoch to write down everything he saw. For one, Enoch saw the earth floating below, witnessed mountains and rivers, and how the winds are made, which suggested an observation deck on board a potential spacecraft. He's just looking out this giant window, looking down at the earth. Enoch walked through 12 large gates and saw other beings of light walking about these gates as well, as if they were simply going about their business on board a craft. The way that these beings were described were as being nearly translucent, radiating light, also brings to mind holographic projections as opposed to physical angels walking around, which is interesting too. So more references perhaps to technology.
Right. I mean, I think it's just interesting that the watchers, or what we have previously known as angels, are just described as these light beings, really. Whereas once he gets to heaven, now they're a little see-through. Like, they're still radiating light, but it's a little different, you know.
A little ghost-like.
Right.
A little spirit-like. Meanwhile, Uriel is telling Enoch all about man's place in the universe. But this wasn't just a philosophical conversation. It was also very practical. One of the more illuminating things Uriel told Enoch was that the Earth year was 365 days long. That's where, there we go.
That's very practical.
Yes. 1 year, 365 days, which in other terms would not be actually established until the 4th century BCE. So this is way before that.
Long. Again, 7 generations from Adam. We're early days.
Because that's the other kind of piece to this, is that this early civilization that was wiped out by the flood, perhaps, was extremely advanced.
Right.
And had advanced technologies, had knowledge of the universe, astronomy. They understood that a year was 365 days, potentially.
That's a pretty huge deal, considering it took, like, some of the smartest, I would say, like, of the ancient era, took them close to 1,000 years to figure that one out. So it's like, if this is already known to this pre-flood civilization, that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, it indicates they were far, far more advanced than what we can even comprehend. But Uriel showed Enoch a giant room full of plants, which he referred to as a storehouse of nature. This brings to mind an arboretum or a greenhouse, which any deep spacecraft would need on board to sustain life. So I kind of think of it like the flying ark.
I like that.
You know,
I like it as the flying ark.
Just think of like a flying ship in the sky. Uriel also showed Enoch a book of life, a record of every human deed on the planet. And this draws parallels, and many have connected it to the Akashic Records, which was Edgar Cayce's proposed library of every human action and unknown knowledge about life itself. It literally contains all the information in the entire universe.
And I know, like, for a lot of people, the Akashic Records are more of this, like, spiritual library,
right,
spiritual storehouse. But I have heard it referred to as, like, there is a library with the physical Akashic records is somewhere.
I'd love to find it.
That would be a big deal,
It'd be crazy. And then in true ancient alien fashion, Uriel showed Enoch a room meant for the wicked, a place of torture and mutilation. Alien theorists have described this as a potential experiment room. Again, the classic medical room people who get abducted by aliens go to, where they start experimenting on you, potentially probing you with things.
That would suck to, ancient alien probes are probably not as advanced as the current probes.
It probably hurts a little bit more.
Probably. They don't have the numbing technology down.
Yeah, they just forcefully put it in there. Then finally, Uriel took Enoch to visit with God himself. And now Enoch explained that he had to avert his gaze from God as there was no way to comprehend him in any way he could understand as just a mortal man, which I kind of like that, honestly.
I like it too. It calls to mind like a Lovecraftian, in that case, they're abominations, but just things and creatures you see that the human mind cannot figure out. Like, we cannot comprehend this thing. It's too old. It's too cosmic for us.
Yeah, I honestly really like that sort of explanation of God.
Right.
Like, it's just beyond any human comprehension that our eyes can't even look at it.
We can't make sense of it.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
In the Polar Express when they see Santa Claus,
yeah,
it's mad blurry.
Right.
Make it kind of like that.
Yeah, low key, just like that. God then explained to Enoch the nature of human life, complete with visions of the past, present, and future. He even presents Enoch with an apocalyptic vision that would come to pass during the flood of Noah. Then he told Enoch why the flood would be sent and why Enoch was chosen to receive such knowledge. And for one, Enoch had been a righteous man and in the lineage of Adam, and God needed someone with those qualifications to write about what heaven was really like. Plus, Enoch was to deliver a message to the Watchers, warning them that they would be destroyed if they did not change their sinful ways. Now, of course, with the Watchers teaching humanity several futuristic sciences such as metallurgy and medicine, it's easy to see why alien theorists have connected this to other ancient theories. In ancient Sumerian texts, a group of sky beings known as the Observers fulfilled a similar role, teaching humanity about futuristic sciences and having offspring with human women. In the Sumerian texts, alien theorists have said this was the beginning of a human-alien hybridization program, because the Sumerians are the oldest civilization that we know of, that we can definitively prove. Of course, in the Book of Enoch, this hybrid species was the giant Nephilim. Stories of Nephilim remaining on Earth are as recent as the early 2000s. Because, there was this story. It's pretty wild. A long time ago, I did a full video on this story, actually. But U.S. soldiers reportedly fought off a Nephilim in Kandahar, Afghanistan. It's a pretty crazy story,
It's
too.
crazy. That one, I'm again, I'm Mr. Skeptic over here, but that one, I'm like, damn.
And
that sounds nuts.
Yeah, it was they're very certain that this thing was much, much, much larger than any human they'd ever seen. And I think it had red hair and it was very interesting. It just did not seem like it definitely just wasn't somebody native to Afghanistan.
Right.
It was, it was in a cave and stuff. It was pretty wild.
I don't know. I mean, again, we're talking Afghanistan, that is in the realm of kind of everything we're talking about here. Ancient Sumeria,
right.
The times of Enoch. I think if there were to be an ancient species somewhere still on Earth, it would be in this area.
Right. And again, these are serious people, U.S. soldiers, special forces, things like that, who told this story. So
they don't want to lose out on a promotion.
No. Yeah, exactly. Why'd they make it up? Let's be honest. Being a human these days in modern society is tough. All that convenience, all that fast food, all those processed sugars and sweet drinks, it's hard not to indulge. But it's working overtime? Not just you, but your liver. And if you've been feeling sluggish or just feeling off, then your liver might be trying to tell you something. So that's where Dose for Your Liver comes in. Dose for Your Liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement, and it's just not another capsule or powder, which for me personally, I don't do capsules. I don't like them. I don't enjoy it one bit. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of powders either.
But what's great about Dose is it's an actual liquid supplement that you drink, and it tastes amazing. It's like drinking a cup of fresh squeezed orange juice, but you're getting all of those delicious vitamins. It's super easy. It's just a 2-ounce daily shot you take that helps get your liver back in shape. It promotes daily liver function so your liver can do its job, and it's no sugar, 0 calories, 0 junk. Because again, your liver filters everything for you. It processes everything you consume and performs about 500 daily functions. It feels like it's an organ in your body you definitely need to take care of. We're talking about energy production. We're talking about digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. Yep, the liver makes these processes happen every day, and when it's overworked, you'll feel it. And as I get older, I'm all about optimizing my body as much as I can. It's hard to always make great choices. When you're rolling around town, you want to stop by that fast food joint, but do something for your liver later on and just take that 2-ounce shot of Dose. So why can you trust Dose? Well, it's got real results with 2 double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing its positive impact on liver enzyme levels. You're sure to start feeling better in no time. You're going to feel reduced sluggishness. You're going to get rid of those midday crashes. You're going to support your metabolism and even aid your daily digestion. So what more is there to love? Dose makes it simple. It's not disgusting. It's not something that you dread doing every single day. It's actually something you'll look forward to because you're going to feel better in no time. So if you're ready to give your liver the support it deserves, head over to dosedaily.co/milehigher or enter Mile Higher to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you, so let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/milehigher for 35% off your first month subscription.
Of course, with the corruption of the Watchers and the treacherous ways of the Nephilim feasting on human flesh and enslaving man, God tells Enoch this simple message: instruct the Watchers to repent or they will suffer. When Enoch attempted to deliver this message to the Watchers and the Nephilim, nobody listened to him. He was returned to heaven, where God told him that the only survivors of the flood would be of his bloodline, and that only his family and one of every species on earth would repopulate the planet. Now, while many of us are familiar with Noah and his big-ass ark, the Bible picks up with him in Genesis, as God appears to him with a mission to save the earth's animals and his family. However, in Enoch, they describe Noah's birth. So Noah is described as being born with glowing skin and the ability to speak from birth. His father Lamech freaks the fuck out because his son not only appeared to be one of the dreaded Watchers, but he was born out of an immaculate conception, as Lamech wasn't around when he was conceived. Noah's grandfather, Methuselah, prayed to his father Enoch, who had at this point ascended to become the angel Metatron, which again is the coolest fucking angel name.
Kind of sounds like Megatron.
Megatron. And Methuselah asked Enoch whether Noah was truly of their blood. And Enoch responded, "Yes, he who has been born is your son." Now, this could just be another immaculate conception, generations before the birth of Jesus Christ, or was this simply another phase of the alien hybridization program? Noah is described as having glowing skin like the angels in heaven and could have been conceived through artificial insemination or alien technology. Now, getting away from the Book of Enoch into some classic Bible stories, God instructed Noah to build an ark with precise instructions: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. This would make the vessel approximately 510 feet long, 85 feet wide, and 51 feet high. Now, interpretations of the Bible regarding the animals on the ark have changed. Some suggest that Noah wasn't to bring 2 of every type of animal on board, but just 2 of every breed. So, like, you bring 2 wolves, that would eventually make these wonderful dogs we have running around.
Right.
Here. And the other part of this theory suggests that the animals on board were actually all infants. So you wouldn't have a fully grown big-ass elephant chilling on there.
Right.
You'd have a baby elephant.
That's interesting.
That would save on space.
I was always told as a kid it was big-ass animals.
Well, what's that?
Which I'm like, what the hell?
What the fuck? This is a big-ass ship.
They got lions and tigers next to their prey.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I don't know, maybe it was all peaceful on the ark.
Maybe there was some divine intervention there.
That's true. That's
that
true.
everybody's just chilled out. Everybody was like, they realized what was the fate. Their fate at hand was die or chill out.
Or chill. And I feel like they would chill out. I wish some of our dogs would remember that. However, the ancient astronaut theory suggests that these weren't whole animals at all. Instead, the Ark, like potentially the spacecraft of heaven, was a large ship that held the DNA samples of every creature on the planet.
I like this.
I love this. And that they would be cloned back into reality once the world settled back to normal. I love that one. It's just so fun.
It seems like almost as plausible as bringing every animal on a boat.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
If we're talking like every animal on Earth is going on one big ass ship,
Right.
might as well just clone them.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be easier to store DNA than literally have every physical animal on a boat.
And imagine the poop.
How do they deal with that?
I don't.
How do you, like, just the logistics of that are complicated.
And he's still got like his whole family on board too.
How they get an ounce of sleep?
I couldn't. You got the rooster
The smell,
coming. Ugh.
the smell, the sounds would be insane. All these animals would be just going at it.
Absolutely.
But maybe divine intervention. They all just chilled out. Everybody was at peace.
No poop for a year.
Yeah. No poop.
Now, looking to the flood itself, many Bible interpreters say that it was a metaphor and that a massive flood did not actually cover the entire earth for a whole year. However, others have pointed to the Black Sea deluge, in which over 40,000 square miles of land in the Middle East were flooded for over 300 days. This land was later found to have remains of human structures and freshwater fish, suggesting that the flood would have wiped out whole communities in a very apocalyptic way. So could Noah's flood simply have been a local occurrence? I don't know, because others believe that the flood was indeed global and cite nearly 250 separate flood myths worldwide in support of this view. No matter how disparate, these myths all share similar archetypes: chosen families and great beings from the sky, both of which caused the flood and warned people about it.
Yeah, it is interesting that you see this story told all over the earth, really.
Right.
There's some type of recollection in all religions in one way or another that point to this. So the whole flood thing is very interesting, because was it a flood? Was it something that, thinking of the earth being completely flooded is hard to grasp, but could it have been localized to an area and they just didn't know the greater, boundaries of the earth at that point? Or was it something else entirely?
Right. I also wonder, just like, the reason why there's so many different flood myths outside of global flood is just that even a regular flood would be apocalyptic to like an early civilization.
Totally. Yeah.
And so it makes sense that like all these religions are like, oh my God, if shit flooded, we'd fucking die.
Yeah. Right.
know?
Yeah. It'd be a huge deal. I mean, it'd be over for them.
Right.
They have no way to combat it. It's over.
It's done. Goodbye.
Yep. But those who believe in the global flood point to an event at the end of the Younger Dryas period, which is around 12,000 years ago, when it's theorized that warming at the end of the last ice age triggered massive freshwater flooding worldwide. And those who believe in the ancient aliens theory say it was a rogue solar flare that caused the rapid warming of the planet's ice. If this were the case, it would have given the sky beings or these aliens enough time to warn a select group of humans before the flare hit the planet. And in this case, Uriel warning Enoch, who then warned Noah. So that's where they're getting the interpretations from. But why, out of all the Bible stories, does Noah's Ark, and therefore the mysterious Book of Enoch, receive so much attention from alien theorists? Perhaps it's because the story was very interesting to the Cold War era CIA. But you didn't see that coming.
Boom.
Yeah, CIA's in there. In the book of Genesis, the ark was described as coming to rest on the 17th day of the 7th month on the Ararat mountain in eastern Turkey. And on June 17, 1949, a classified CIA spy plane documented a barge-like structure resting on the mountain. Titled the Ararat Anomaly, the CIA would send numerous spy planes to document the strange formation, and even referred to it as Noah's Ark in classified documents. And you can see in this photo here, this sort of formation that they're pointing to on top of the mountain here.
And again, these are early
photos, early spy plane
yeah,
photos.
so they're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Doesn't look like a whole lot, but it's different than the area surrounding it, right? Could it be something there? However, the real reason for all this is less glamorous. The only reason the documents were classified was that the CIA was illegally flying airplanes in restricted airspace. And on subsequent trips to the formation, they discovered, oh, damn, it's not a crashed ancient boat. It's just rocks.
It's just rocks. I know, again, not to bring up my dad, as I always do, but these government guys and supposedly classified documents, they like to have a bit of fun. They like to, oh, what the hell is it? He always tells a story about how when he was working for NORAD, he was watching Christmas Eve just on the radar. And this would supposedly be a classified document, but in the report, he said that F-15s had intercepted Santa Claus and shot him down. So, it's these guys, they like to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just even from their project names and things like that, they get creative sometimes.
They get creative. And I respect it. They got
to have fun too, It can't all be serious.
And they couldn't go on their phones in the 40s.
True. How are they going to entertain themselves,
All right.
However, in Uzengli, Turkey, another strange stone formation also seemed to be in the shape of a boat. Although smaller than the ark described in the Bible, if measured by the cubit system in use at the time of Moses, the rock formation would fit the description perfectly. And on top of that, the region is filled with drogue stones, or ancient stones used to anchor large ships on long journeys. And the nearby ancient settlement of Nashwan suggested that this would be the first place inhabited after the flood occurred. In 1977, biblical archaeologist Ron Wyatt renewed interest in Uzengli's formation after he claimed to have found man-made iron in it. He claimed to have found mud lines indicating beams from the ship and 3 levels as described in the Bible through a 3D scan of the formation. But you can see it here. It's pretty insane looking.
It's nuts. I mean,
it's definitely shaped like a boat.
Yeah.
It does kind of seem like a boat may have been sitting there. He even found a piece of petrified wood, ancient cat hair, and fossilized animal shit in the region. He saw the fence that was supposedly around Noah's house on board the craft and the grave of Noah's wife. The Turkish government saw these discoveries and declared that this was the proper resting place of Noah's Ark. And thousands of tourists visit the site every year. So yep, this has got to be it.
Boom, guys, come see it for yourselves.
Which maybe it is. I mean, it's crazy. But it was revealed that Ron Wyatt was a constant liar. He said he had found the blood of Jesus Christ himself and scammed one funder out of nearly $30,000. And when he took a lie detector test to speak on his various biblical discoveries, he failed just about everything except his name. So money play here?
Maybe a bit. I mean, I've come across a couple of these guys just because they want it, dudes would be like, no, I found the real tomb of Jesus. You just got to give me money to
Right.
dig underneath this apartment complex and we will find it. And so I think that he does believe it, but he believes it so much that he's basically unwilling to consider any other possibilities.
Sounds about right.
Yep. But maybe.
But maybe, I guess.
The Turkish government still has it listed.
True. Maybe not. The metal detectors Ron used at Noah's Ark were bought from a magazine. The iron in the soil was indeed natural, and the animal dung and wood were faked. And the drogue stones were locally quarried, meaning they weren't transported long distances beneath a ship. Plus, natural mud flows form the structure's shape, and countless bow-like shapes can be found around the planet. So if the flood prophecy received in Enoch can't be confirmed in the real world, what is real about this very mysterious piece of biblical literature? Is there anything that we can confirm?
Well, there are definitely some bizarre things we can't confirm. So, in 1616, Western sources first reported the rediscovery of the Book of Enoch when Sir Walter Raleigh, curiously, said that part of the text, specifically the part that contained the course of the stars, their names, and motions, had been discovered in Ethiopia. However, what's strange about this statement is that no such discovery had been made at the time, and it's very unclear as to where he learned this information. Sir Walter Raleigh never went to Ethiopia, so it's very odd that he would say this, and then, because for the past millennium, Western scholars had simply believed that the book was just lost. They knew of its ancient existence, as it was quoted in the Old and New Testaments, but they couldn't find a complete text. It wouldn't be until 1773 that Scottish traveler James Bruce found 3 complete versions of the Book of Enoch in Ethiopia, written in the Ge'ez religious language. This was while he was on a monumental trip to the region to discover the source of the Blue Nile in Lake Tana in Ethiopia.
What a find, though. Just
Dude.
on a random trip.
I would fucking love
That's crazy.
You just go into some place you've never been before. Here's a 1,000-year-old book.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, honestly.
He's sick. I mean, maybe not I bet like all these early just like explorers, probably a bad guy.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
however, while this would be the first time Western scholars had actually found the Book of Enoch, the Ethiopian text only dated back to the 15th or 16th century. Since the Book of Enoch was quoted multiple times in the Old and New Testaments, it's assumed that a much older version of the text might still be out there. But the Ethiopian version provides context as to why the Book of Enoch is so important to their Orthodox community. With one of the oldest Jewish and Christian communities on the planet, Ethiopia is mentioned in the Bible as Sheba, and Emperor Menelik supposedly stole the Ark of the Covenant from the kingdom of Solomon, who was his father. The Ark is supposedly held in the Church of Axum to this day, like we mentioned before, which
Right.
is so sick.
I'd love to go visit there.
Just, I think there's this story about like, they always have one Ark watcher, and he spends his
Yeah.
entire life,
Yeah.
and all of them have developed cataracts.
Interesting.
What the hell is that
Hmm.
about?
Are they being exposed to something?
Some
Energy or something? Or,
Indiana Jones stuff.
yeah.
Then in 1946, a Bedouin shepherd named Muhammad Edib, along with his cousin and fellow shepherd, discovered numerous ancient scrolls in the Qumran caves in the West Bank. These texts were much older, dating back to the 3rd century BCE. Written in Aramaic, the Dead Sea Scrolls, as they would come to be known, would be pivotal in understanding early Abrahamic religions. And among these scrolls were early sections of the Book of Enoch, dating back before the birth of Christ. So now, confirmed, Book of Enoch is old as fuck.
Yep. Wow.
With this discovery, new scholarship on the Book of Enoch provided vital context for the work beyond the potential alien theories. For one, it was determined that the original Book of Enoch was pseudepigrapha, a book that claims to be an autobiography that was actually written by someone else. These works were actually quite common in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC. Characters in the Old Testament who were only briefly mentioned, like Enoch, would be written about in a sort of Bible fan fiction by religious devotees.
That's awesome.
I would love to write some Bible fanfic.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. This means that although the author claimed to be writing as Enoch, again, 7 generations removed from Adam, in reality, the text was written between the 2nd century BCE and the 1st century CE. This would mean that the technological advancements shown to humanity by the Watchers would have been common knowledge, alongside the information God gave to Enoch in heaven regarding the stars and the 365-day calendar year. And while ancient astronaut theorists state that the Immaculate Conception of the Book of Enoch referred to Noah, the miraculous birth actually referred to the biblical character, king, and Noah's nephew, Melchizedek.
Shopping for clothes has never been a big hobby of mine. Every now and then I'll find a piece I like some random place, but for the most part, I don't want to think about it, and I need to refresh my wardrobe almost every year. I feel like everything goes out of style in like 5 minutes now, so you want to make sure you've got the clothes you need for the occasions you need it for. And Stitch Fix has been a huge time saver and money saver when it comes to getting my wardrobe outfitted, getting Kendall's wardrobe outfitted, and now our kids' wardrobes outfitted because they have Stitch Fix for kids now, which is awesome. It's the easiest process ever. You just take a quick style quiz, you share your size, style, and budget, and then you get matched with a real human, not an AI bot, a real human stylist at that, who will match you with all sorts of different pieces that you're definitely going to love, that definitely goes with your vibe. We've used Stitch Fix for, probably years now, and our stylists know us really well. And things that just show up, I'm like, oh man, they know exactly what I was looking for. If I'm looking for a new jacket, a new flannel, whatever it is, I just let my Stitch Fix stylist know what I'm looking for, and they have come through time and time again. It's extremely easy. And best of all, when they send you your box, you can just send back anything you don't want right in that prepaid envelope they include with you, and you just throw it in your mailbox, and the postman picks it up and takes it back to them. It's super easy. There's customer service is great. The communication with your stylist is great. And it all shows up right at your door. It's super easy. You can pick and choose what you want. It's really customizable, and shipping and returns are always free. And there's no subscription required. Plus, you get a free try-on for your first fix. Get started today at stitchfix.com/milehigher and get 20% off your first order when you buy 5 items or more. That's stitchfix.com/milehigher. According to the text, Ner, Noah's brother, confronted his wife Sopanema after she supernaturally conceived the child. Sopanema proclaimed her innocence, but when Ner did not believe her, she fell over and died. However, Melchizedek appeared from the body, fully clothed, and able to speak as if he was 1 to 3 years old. Instead of surviving the flood on Noah's Ark, the angel Michael actually took the young boy to Eden, where he waited out the flood protected by angels.
Which is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's just like, just seeing so many visions in my head right now.
Dude.
Just imagining all of these things.
Being a baby fucking crawling from
Yeah.
your dead mom's body and being like, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up?
Yep. How's it going?
Where am I going to chill out when it floods?
My name's Mel.
Yeah. Then an angel just coming to swoop you up and
Like-
take you to like the most beautiful place ever that
Yeah.
ever existed.
Don't eat the apple, bro.
Yeah.
Don't touch that shit.
Don't talk to that snake in there either.
Yeah, no. He's weird.
Yeah, he's a weird one. Now, what is interesting is that certain characters like the Nephilim remained in the Bible long after the flood, and they were not all killed according to God's apocalyptic warning. Most famously, Goliath himself and his brother Lochmi were Nephilim. If you want to believe that the race wasn't entirely killed and might still be alive to this day, there is some biblical evidence to back you up. And this is because in the Book of Enoch, Noah actually asked God to forgive them. In the Book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, Noah begged God to spare the Nephilim from the flood, though he refused, saying the Nephilim were evil. This incident is included in the Catholic Bible, but not in the Protestant one. The Protestant one doesn't want to have any fun.
No, dude.
Yeah.
It's just.
Cannot have giants in there.
Let's
apparently.
have saints. Let's have giants.
Yeah.
Let's
Come
do
on.
cool shit.
Yeah. More people might read it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Just saying.
I want to read the Book of Enoch.
Yeah. Although the book may not be included in Western churches now, early church fathers consider Enoch as an essential text for understanding the Nephilim and Noah's flood. Later church fathers rejected the idea that the Nephilim were a hybrid species and instead held that they were descendants of Seth and Cain. However, Enoch remained very important in other Abrahamic religions. In Islam, he is known as Idris and is considered either the second or third prophet, though texts about his life are not considered canonical. In mystical Judaism or Kabbalah, Enoch is regarded as one of the highest ranking angels when he transformed into the Metatron. Sick.
It's just so cool. The names are so. I wish I could come up with a name like Melchizedek.
Melchizedek.
That's so awesome, bro.
You know, Mel Gibson's named after that.
Melchizedek Gibson.
Hey, names are getting pretty wild these days.
They are
for
getting pretty
kids,
wild.
So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, my parents named me after Joshua of the Bible. Why couldn't I be Melchizedek?
Dude, if I'm going to name my kid Nebuchadnezzar,
Nebuchadnezzar.
that would be fire.
Enoch would kind of be a sick name though.
Enoch
Like,
is a great name.
I wonder look up how popular Enoch is. I wonder if anybody's name, like how many people have named their kid Enoch.
I mean, you and Kendall are having a son.
All right, new name. This is my son, Enoch.
In the U.S., it's currently ranking 717.
So it is. People are naming their kid Enoch.
Yeah.
Dang, that's kind of cool.
You could also name him Idris. That's
Yeah.
still Enoch style with it.
Yeah, that's cool too. Lots of kids named Noah. Noah gets
Like,
lots of
ton
love.
of
That's
them.
like one of the most popular names right now is Noah.
I'm going to name my kid Ark just to spite them.
Ark. Or just Nephilim.
Nephilim.
This is my son, Nephilim.
This is my son Goliath. I
Yeah.
hope you don't mind.
Oh, Goliath. Let's bring Goliath back. That'd be kind of crazy. While ancient alien theories say the book was removed from the Bible because it discusses hidden knowledge the Watchers gave to humanity, is more likely that the church knew the book was not divinely inspired and therefore excluded it from the Western Bibles. Which, whose decision was that?
That's awesome.
Not divinely inspired. Like, seems pretty inspired to me.
It seems pretty fucking awesome. And also, like, I love every religion on earth, but who's to say if anything's divinely inspired? I think that's kind of...
Fair argument.
I'd like to
Right.
know. I'd like to sit down with these guys and be like, so what crosses that threshold
Right.
for you?
Well, they'd probably say there are some that are not,
Right. Like,
and that theirs is.
this is
That's-
the right shit, bro.
Right. That's the issue. That's the issue with our world, right? Only certain people are right. But why can't we all be right?
Come on, just once.
Because at the end of the day, what do we know?
It doesn't matter.
What do we know? We don't know shit.
Exactly.
Really. Other than what these ancient texts told us. We weren't there
No, dude.
12,000 years ago. We don't know what happened.
I'd like to know what was going on.
I do too. So maybe Enoch is the truth. You never know.
Me and my wife Methuselah. I mean, even though that's a guy, but
Now, in more modern contexts, the Book of Enoch has been used by numerous doomsday Christian cults. Keys of Enoch, often cited by New Age cults as a contemporary book written by J.J. Hurtak, who claimed to channel Metatron. Many have called the Keys of Enoch a cult as it promotes doomsday ideologies, false assertions that Hurtak received a message from Metatron himself, and a promise that you too can ascend if you devote your life and wallet to his future science institute. Of course, people are going to take it. I mean, this has been done a million times.
Yeah. Cults on lights out, specifically Mormon cults,
Yes.
who always bring up the Book of Enoch because not necessarily because of the Watchers, but because of his ascension to heaven.
Yes. There's always an ascension to heaven, it seems like. And always visions of doom
Always the doom.
that you got to get ready for. How come no cult has started building an ark?
I would like to. Well, what is it with Scientology with the
True. Yeah.
they like
Hubbard with their special navy they got going on.
they like to be out on the sea.
The seafarers over there. Yeah. True. Scientology. It's not a cult though.
No, you're right.
And it's a religion.
Again, I
It's
love
an
every
organized,
religion on
recognized
earth.
religion.
I love every religion. I really
No. Fuck Scientology.
for real.
So when it comes to the Book of Enoch, be aware, since its origins and central character are so mysterious, numerous bad actors and cults have used it to recruit people. So be careful. Nobody, just anybody who's claiming to know the truth.
Watch out.
Do your research. But if you look at the original text with an open mind, you might just learn about Abrahamic traditions, and you might also learn a thing or two about where we came from and ancient alien technology. Love a good Ancient Aliens episode.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's just fun.
It's just another idea. Why not?
Why not? And again, like I really enjoy this topic, just researching it, because as someone who's not very familiar with the Bible, it's fun to read about the crazier stories that are not even included. I remember a while ago on the Vatican episode, we were talking about the Essene Gospel of Peace.
Yeah.
And how, this is about Jesus' life. Because similar to Enoch, we only get Jesus at the very beginning and at the very end of his life. What the hell was going on?
I want to know what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was, catching waves and
Dude, surfing Jesus?
kissing babies.
Not babes, though.
No, he was blessing babies
Mm-hmm.
all
No
over
chicks.
the earth. No chicks. But then there's other stories that Jesus was married.
Right.
Jesus had a wife.
That's The Last Temptation of Christ,
Yeah.
the great film by Martin Scorsese and book. That's kind of what they theorize. And it's banned by the Catholic Church because there's a whole section in it where Jesus imagines his life not where he's not crucified. And he goes on, he has a wife and all this crazy ass shit. And I don't know, I kind of appreciate these other visions of the religion.
It's, especially having heard it one way for so long, it's just my world opened up so much,
Right.
like just doing this show from the very beginning and diving into so many things and even learning about sort of, ancient civilization beyond just what biblical texts reflect and learning about the Sumerians and like what they knew and just how advanced their civilization was. That these ancient civilizations just do so much more than like we were ever taught in school. I feel like my ancient history in school was so limited and so just like one-sided and never considered all these other factors or the fact that, Graham Hancock, when he came on, we talked quite a bit about this there's perhaps this pre-Adamite civilization that existed and that there's this whole other chapter of human history that was lost because of this cataclysmic event. And, it kind of pointing to the stories of Atlantis and was there things even before the Bible, anything that associated with the Bible is all very interesting because it's like, for me personally, I believe none of us really know, I don't think any text is 100% accurate and nobody was there, and is it possible that we really don't know where we came from? And could it have been some civilization beyond our planet that came and started all this,
Which would be for me, I always just reflect on the fact that, like, again, we don't know, and I think we often don't appreciate, like, aliens or advanced civilizations or not. I don't think we appreciate just like how forward thinking early civilizations really were. I mean, early thinking people to read the Old Testament and think, there's this interesting character, Enoch. I wonder what his life was like. And then to write this very complicated but still, fairly accepted text on the guy, I think is more advanced than we give credit to these early humans.
Totally. I mean, just the concepts they include is like, wow, these are thoughts they were having.
We don't give them,
or things they were experiencing, or stories they had been passed down. It's
right.
it just puts a whole different perspective on history. It's like, it's just so probably wilder than we can even imagine.
Right.
It's just hard to look back that far in history. I think as like a modern human, it's hard to go back. And I love AI in some ways for being able to kind of bring some of this to life. Like there's a couple accounts that I follow that they take moments in history and they recreate it using like according to the facts or how it's written in these ancient texts, and bring it to life in visual form, which is really helpful to be able to see like kind of all this play out and kind of connect the dots. So it will be interesting to see if, as technology advances and AI advances, if AI will assist us in figuring out our origin story.
Right.
And like, will it be able to find something or interpret something in these ancient texts that connects all the dots together?
That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. I also think like there's this great movie called Satyricon by Federico Fellini, which is from the 70s. But he went to painstaking lengths because, when we imagine ancient Rome, which is what he's dealing with there, we kind of think white, gray, pillars, columns, all this. But he went to painstaking lengths to color every inch, basically, of these things, which is how it really would have been. And it almost appears like psychedelic to us now, seeing this ancient world.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it is just a world we can't comprehend, but it's cool in which the ways we can try our best to envision it.
Totally. Did you learn something, Janelle?
Yeah, I was going to ask how you're doing.
All right, pop quiz on Janelle.
Yeah, I'm more confused than when I got here, but
Well, now you know about the Great Flood.
Yep.
And Noah.
Yes, I knew about Noah.
And Noah's a descendant of Enoch.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Methuselah?
Great.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Chill. He's chill.
Yeah, he's chill.
Well, hopefully we didn't lose you there. If we did, we'll see you next time. But I like to just pull one of these ancient Civ episodes out every now and then because it's a personal interest of mine and something I find truly fascinating and specifically diving into sort of the ancient religious texts or esoteric texts and just looking at life and how we got here through different lens and maybe more unconventional lens too than sort of like the traditional religions that exist. And I'm one to believe that I think there's something more complex and magical, if you want to call it that, that's going on in the universe, and it's far more complicated and interconnected than we can even process as human beings. And so it's always interesting to dive into the different texts and see different perspectives and read about different people's accounts and experiences and with the time period, and just kind of transport yourself back and just try to like put yourself in this world, and it's just a different world
completely. And
then you come back and you're like, God, we have really simplified our lives.
Things are too simple, man.
It's way too simple. It's like it's like I'm going to leave this episode. I'm like, what am I going to eat for lunch?
Tacos.
Yeah, it's like that's what we're like thinking about.
Right.
Like, is just the little moments of time. But it seems like other people in history were thinking about things far larger and greater.
Absolutely.
I feel like we need more of that. You know, what happened to the great philosophers and the people that were really trying to figure things out and connecting the dots? And I know there's people that exist, but I feel like all of us could use a little bit more of pulling ourselves out of our bubbles for a minute and
Right.
thinking about our history through the lens of like, where did we come from? I'm going to leave it at that.
Where did we come from?
Where did we
everybody?
come from? Tell us. But yeah, if you want to learn more about the Book of Enoch, you can actually there's an audiobook that you can listen to that goes through all 3 books of Enoch, which don't know how good it is. I'm gonna go check it out because now I'm curious to see what are in 2 and 3 and get the full story. But there are also just interpretations of it out there too in book form. So yeah, check it out. Let us know your thoughts. Where do we come from? Thank you for being here with Ian and I and Janelle. We will see you next time.